Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing DmC Definitive Edition on Gods Must Die difficulty, and this is a hard chapter. We're on mission 8 of 20, and we are playing the game on turbo mode with a hardcore modifying our play. So I think the hardest fight is actually this first one here. Just because of the simple fact that now that enemies are devil triggering pretty much at 99% of the time. I mean, sometimes it fades off of them, sometimes it goes away if you parry. Just the simple fact that there's no way to really safely, I mean, you can launch them with the Erics, but the crux of using that kind of strategy is simply that you have to get launched up yourself with them. So another strategy possibly involves what I was doing sometimes on the chainsaw enemies is launching them with the Erics on one side of the train and then doing the 3-hit triangle combo in the air and kind of pushing them towards the train, but you're really not able to, you're not able to rely on all the environmental kills. See, this is designed to have the player launch all the enemies up and have, you know, whole clusters of enemies just die instantly. But on this difficulty, it doesn't work that way because they're double triggered, and thus you can't launch them unless you use the Erics. But when you do that, you launch yourself up into the air too, so you take damage if you get hit by the train. It's pretty severe damage. So this is the second of the 3 waves you'll be encountering here, and you do have a Dream Runner. And since this was so difficult, it died probably 50 times. I think my death count here was like 85 or something like that. I would say to use the Devil Trigger because you can actually accrue it on 2 subsequent battles and on some of the flame wheels coming up. And there's also some slugs around here to smash. So once you get to the double Dream Runner fight at the end of the chapter, you should have enough Devil Trigger. I mean, it only took me 2 tries to take out those 2 Dream Runners, and I think this is where the hard, you know, stamina criteria lies for many players on this difficulty mode. So this was definitely one of those surprise situations, just like in chapter 1 when they've designed it so that a knowledgeable player will knock all the enemies up and, like I said, destroy whole clusters of enemies. So you've got 2 elite Stygians here and 1 Dream Runner, and the best thing to do is just depend on your Devil Trigger. If you want to, you can take out the 2 Stygians with the Devil Trigger and then focus on this guy. And the Dream Runners are actually very easy. It's just a matter of doing charged attacks when they're near, stunning them after that, and then launching them with combos, and then you could actually bait them into doing an attack in the air and getting a demon evade off of the air evade that you do. So it's not much difference. See, even on like this guy, you can't just launch him with the Arbiter. So once he's dead, you know, you should have a nominal amount of Devil Trigger. So if you're in need of Devil Trigger, just make sure that you kill everything here. Make sure that you're particularly stylish on the next phase so that your Devil Trigger accrues more. Hell, you can just visit the Divinity statue and fill up your Devil Trigger if you want. There is a secret alcove in this next area where the fight is. There's a I think where one of the Lost Souls was. There is I believe there's a slug that has will give you a little bit of Devil Trigger. So this fight here What's going on here is you're going to have Medusas and shielded Bathos enemies. And it's not too particularly enjoyable of a fight. I mean, you can do the air evade to dodge their hurricane attack, which is their anti-air attack. So that's one way of doing it. So the longer you stand on the glass, obviously, the more likely it is to shatter. But this is where you can start building up your Devil Trigger in preparation for the next fight that's coming up. Although there is an optional fight with 2 Elite Stygians in the subway, which you can use to build up your Devil Trigger too. I think the last time I did this guide I skipped that fight, but now since I had to depend a lot more on the Devil Trigger for the fight we just did, that 3-wave fight. Oh yeah, what the hell? What am I thinking here? There's also 2 Tyrants too, which I did no damage because, well, because it took me a few times and I was having a blast playing those guys. So that's the synopsis for this chapter. It can be potentially hard. You see, the more you fight the Dream Runners, the more you will get comfortable with them. And like before, when I first did this guide, it took me, like, that was my whole struggle, fighting those 2 Dream Runners. But now I just did it, it was on my second try. I was familiar with this area here. This fight is really fun over here with these 2 Tyrants. So we'll jump down here and definitely go for the definitely buffer the Trinity Smash with the Rebellion Strikes. So if you don't know what that means, it's 2 Rebellion Strikes with the triangle or Y button depending on your controller, and then a final triangle or Y press with the Arbiter. And you do sacrifice the 2 hits with the Arbiter, but it's a quicker attack. And a lot of the times in this game you're kind of pressed for time with your attacks, so it is nice to be able to buffer attacks and get in attacks before enemies can do things. But this is a really enjoyable fight. The more you pull them to the ground, the more time you'll have to deal massive damage to them. And we will have that double Dream Runner fight coming up. So surprisingly, I thought they're going to throw a Butcher in over here, but they don't. So we're going to make our way back here. An optional fight. So my entire motivation on this fight was to build a little bit more Devil Trigger. And from what I'm seeing no difference in these enemy placements from Dante Must Die. I don't think that was the idea on Gods Must Die. The whole idea is just that enemies are Devil Triggering. It's the same enemy placements, and it's just you get dealt, you know, more than twice the damage you were getting dealt on Dante Must Die. So that's where the real challenge lies, and I'm really excited to do this guide. I mean, I'm having the time of my life. Seriously, I'm having the time of my life doing this guide. So you're going to jump down here. You're going to want to do the charged Eric's attacks. And what else to say about these guys? Off of a teleport, you can do a Demon Evade. Try to get the Demon Evade. And then hook them with the Angel Pull. Hook them over to you and do another attack on them. However, watch out for their counterattacks. You always have to be kind of suspicious of these guys, I would say, and just assuming that they're going to counterattack your attack, so that once you're in that kind of mentality, then you can always be ready for a counterattack from their quarter. So that bitch owned me right there. You know why? Because I was taking for granted how well I was doing here, and that's exactly what happens when you start getting cocky. So we're gonna put this bitch to bed right here, because that's where he needs to be. And I will see you guys in the next mission. Take care.